$500,000 levy is a pretty good project for Marathon in 2021.
Okay, Councilor Miles? Good. Couple key questions. So you made mention in your report that there's a potential of the full cost recovery. That's a negotiating tool with the insurance because the rebuild, we're rebuilding, right? We're not just taking the money and running. So that's an opportunity for council to consider that we could get as high as $731,000. The size and the space of the building is already earmarked. We know we need 3,000 some square. So that's an easy build. Go pour the concrete pad, get the square building built, right? You know, that's one floor. It's the interior discussion, the consultation process is what goes inside the building, right? You made mention about the design aspect and, you know, rental of this for events and all that. Well, that's fine. You know, do the kitchen so it meets code, so you can do the cook and prep work for a small kitchen. You don't need a restaurant, a banquet hall type kitchen. You need a kitchen that's functional, where we always had problems in the other clubhouse, right? The kitchen was always non-functional because of code, and you couldn't size it, you had to build out, so those things would be incorporated in the design build. Those are things that the public doesn't really need to have any input in. What the public needs, the skiers, the golf courses, what they would like to see as part of their interior amenities, right?
Yeah, I honestly think, you know, if we move forward today, you know, administration has already met a number of times. We've come up with a number of design parameters to provide CGV with, you know, purely from the perspective of we know what is required operationally to run the facility in a very efficient way. And I think, you know, I guess fortunately or unfortunately, we've learned some of that in having to deal with the fire and get operational in 8 days. So I think once the public sees an initial design, I think they'll be quite surprised how far along we already are in terms of, you know, what we think would be the best fit for Marathon.
Right. And through those public conversations, that's where we can have input about the interior amenities that each club might want to see. I don't know what that is. How do we address those?
And certainly we may be able to do things like, I'm not sure that we need to heat the whole building during to the extent that skiers might need it, for example, right? Like there might be a smaller space to save on. Certainly that last building was not the most energy efficient building in the world.
Right.
That feels like a place where, I mean, again, you spend the money up front, but there's some long-term savings in terms of some of those energy efficiencies and doing things, especially, I mean, the thing that always killed me about that old building was if you had a disability, you couldn't go upstairs. It just was not going to happen. So to have a public facility that meets those guidelines and is energy efficient, that's a win going down the road. But I think you're right. It's the interior that the skiers in particular, I think we know how to run the golf course because the town's always run the golf course. It's the conversation probably with the skiers where they may need things that we don't think about.
Right. Councillor Valens?
Just a quick question touching back to the recommendations and I guess the restrictions posed by COVID. Are we going to be looking at some sort of access that allows us to kind of do like a drive-through type thing so that people can continue to golf or ski if they're permitted to, but yet can't enter the building?
Yeah, the COVID one is a really difficult one to address. You know, really what we're looking at in terms of functionality is how do we best address that without adding additional costs to the build per square foot. That becomes the challenge. You know, I think one of, you know, the benefits of looking at, you know, the new space, you know, one of the concepts that we want to incorporate, and, you know, it's hard to argue with because of where we live, is a really open concept. You know, as Councillor Lake indicated, part of the challenge in, you know, having the dual use facility traditionally has been, it wasn't designed to be a dual use facility, right? So we tried to modify a building that was very difficult to modify. With a new design, it's going to be very functional, very open, and traffic flow is going to be a, you know, top of mind consideration when we look at it.
Councillor Lake?
The other piece, I know the conversation that will be asked by the skiers is, so for the golf season, we had that trailer brought in that allowed golfing during the end of the season. Will there be a trailer there for skiers, or is there some plan in place to allow skiing for this 2020 season and 2021 season?
Yeah, so the trailer will likely not be there. And the reason is very simple, is that the ski chalet is not covered under our town insurance. So no, there is the potential to house a trailer, but we'd have to have that conversation, you know, with the ski club. They have reached out to us. We will be, you know, following up with them to have a discussion around the plans for this upcoming season, given the COVID restrictions that the municipality is going to impose. We certainly see there being a ski and snowshoe season, you know, just like the golf season, not like it's traditionally been. But until we finalize the insurance settlement, we're not able to answer a lot of those questions that the ski club is likely going to have. Now that we're in the process of settling, you know, with the insurance company this week, we'll be able to move forward with those constructive discussions on how we can partner to look at getting skiing and snowshoeing up and operational this year, with the COVID restrictions in place and what that looks like for both parties.
I certainly, when I look forward, I'm very excited to see the pool and the arena opening. But just when you look at the numbers in Ontario, you just wonder if some of those restrictions that we were under last March are going to be reintroduced. And I think about those recreational opportunities that you can do, and social distance are going to be key for keeping people just sane. You know, a winter stuck in a house would be an awful tough thing. So I think what I appreciate is hearing that. And I know as an administration, we've been really big supporters of recreation. So just trying to make sure our residents have something to do in case we are all back into our homes a little bit.
Yeah, and we are cognizant that the ski club does want to be operational. Next will be the arena, you know, so it's lessons learned as we move forward, and then, you know, we can look to bring the ski club online